Alex here with another video on high conflict child custody. This video is going to be on why you cannot get legal advice from judges, court clerks, opposing attorneys, obviously, and pretty much anyone who's connected to the court system. A lot of people are so frustrated because they have no idea what to do. They go to the court and they ask for help, and the people that they think would help them, which is, the clerks at the counter, and the judge even, can't help you. And I want to say can't because it's not that they don't want to. I'm sure many of them do want to help you. It's that they can't under the law, they can't help you. And this law, I'm going to tell you, is a sound law. Here's why. When you're told by any random friend off the street or any family member what the law is, you know that they're your friend or your family member. You know they're not an attorney, and you know to take it with a grain of salt. But when somebody like the clerk of the court or a deputy clerk tells you something, it's not the same thing. The impression that it has on the average person is that the clerk works at the court all the time, and when they tell you something, you believe it because it's not just a random guy. You may know they're not attorneys, but you also know that they work in the court system. And so if they tell you bad advice and you follow that bad advice, what if that advice was to file a certain motion and you file it in court, the motion's denied, and your ex's attorney imposes an award of attorney's fees on you? Now you've listened to the advice of a clerk that was wrong, and you took action on it, and you lost, and you have to pay thousands of dollars now? Think about how irritated you would be. And this can happen with judges too, and some people might find this insane, that the judge can tell you something about the law, legal advice, and the judge could be wrong. And if you follow it, you can't go back and say, well, the judge said that was the law, and so therefore I shouldn't be, imposed an award of attorney's fees or sanctioned. This is crazy, but judges are there to interpret the law, not create the law. And I've seen cases where somebody did something that the judge told them to do. The other person appealed it and went to the Supreme Court, and they lost, even though the judge told them to do that. The Supreme Court would render their decision based on the law, and they would just disregard what the judge said because he was wrong. So this is mind-blowing, but you have to understand that ultimately the judges are there to interpret the law, and when they tell you what to do and are wrong, as bad as it is when a clerk tells you to take a certain course of action, when a judge tells you to do it, it's even more compelling, because very few people have the understanding that the judges actually aren't the end-all be-all. Most people think that whatever the judge says is the law because the judge said so, and that's not the case. That's why we have courts of appeals, and that's why we have Supreme Courts. So just keep in mind that sometimes they aren't sure, and other times they're just worried that if they give you bad advice and you follow it and you suffer for it, or maybe they give you good advice. Maybe a judge tells you what to do and you follow his advice, and it's the right advice, but for whatever reason you lose on that motion and you have to pay attorney's fees, and you just didn't know how to appeal, or you were scared to. Here's a case where a judge told you the right thing, and it was just through confusion or trickery that it ended up costing you money and giving you, a negative outlook on the justice system. It's just, you just have to understand this is where it's coming from. So when you go and you ask for advice and they tell you they can't give you legal advice, understand that if these people give you advice and you follow it and it hurts you, it really, really sucks. At least if you did your own research and you were wrong, that was your own research. But in the end, try to understand why the system can't help you in that way. The system is a referee. Unless you're getting advice from a panel of justices on the Supreme Court, which they would never do, you can't really trust that advice would go all the way. And you don't never know really how far a dispute could go. Some disputes don't go all the way up to the Supreme Court. So with that, I'm going to end this video.